Okay, just doing another quick meme guide for my group Iron Man friend who is a scrub. I'm going to be demonstrating through here the best methods that you can do, or the single best method you can do for Tithe Farm, and hopefully I can clearly explain this a lot better than other guides that are out on YouTube at the minute do, because a lot of them don't really tell you how to do this properly. So this is the 25 by 4 Tithe Farm method. This is the best XP per hour and the best points per hour. Before we go into that, just some quick things to get out of the way. So what you need to enter the Tithe Farm is you need at least 34 farming and you need 100% Hosidius favor. The Tithe Farm is in the very far southeast of Zaya, so you see this is Greater Korend. Right down in the very far southeast, down in the Hosidius area, is the Tithe Farm. Why you should do this, it's pretty good XP per hour. It's the only way you can actively train farming, and you can expect XP rates here of anywhere from 35 to 45k if you're level 34 farming. If you're level 54 farming, anywhere from 65 to 70k XP per hour, and if you're above 74 farming, anywhere from 90 to 105k XP per hour, depending on how good you are at doing this method. The XP per hour does go up based on the seeds that you have access to. However, to be very, very clear here, the points per hour is hard capped. There is no way to really get any more than a maximum of 78 points within 1 hour, or an average of around 80 if you're doing this for an extended period of time. So the maximum amount of points per hour is 78. There is no way you can really increase this. There are very, very minor things you can do, but it will only increase your points by hour by a maximum of 1 or 2. And that's really generous. For the most part, I would say this is hard capped, 78 points per hour. There is no way to make that any better. Unfortunately, that is what you're stuck with, so if you're looking to get any of the rewards from Farma Agricola, such as the seed box or the herb sack, which are 250 each, it's going to take you 3.5 hours. There's nothing you can do about that. It's just hard capped, and I'll explain why in 1 second. How the points work in this game, and I will show this as well, is that the first 74 seeds that you plant, which you get from this table, give you no points whatsoever. They will give you experience, and then you get bonus experience once you hand them in here to the deposit sack once you've harvested the fruits. But the first 74 fruits you harvest give you absolutely no points. Every fruit after the 74th fruit that you hand in gives you 1 point per fruit harvested. So if you harvest all 100 seeds perfectly, you get 26 points per game that you complete. Each game will take you about 20 minutes to complete, so hence it's 78 points per hour. There is no way to really speed that up effectively. The 25 by 4 method is the fastest method that is out there. No one's really discovered any better way of doing this. So 78 is your hard cap. The first 74 that you plant give you nothing, so don't plant 50 and then leave because you won't get any points. You will get bonus experience, but you'll get absolutely no points for planting just 50 or even 74 exactly seeds. Every point after 74, however, or every harvest that you have after 74 that you hand in, will give you 1 point per harvest that you then deposit into the sack at the end of the game. So what gear would I recommend that you bring for this? So gear, I just say graceful. I'd recommend bringing something to go do like birdhouse runs or farming runs, just to break up the grind, because this is a really click intensive method to do, but you don't need the magic secateurs. This is just because I came off a herb run. Just full graceful will do for the purpose of doing this mini game. The inventory is a spade and a seed dubber, and then you want 10 watering cans. There is a method out there that uses 19. I recommend just going with 10 full watering cans because they weigh, as you can see, 0.9 kilos each. And if you're using too many of these or carrying too many of them, you're going to be draining your run energy, which will be very painful if you're towards the end of a run and you end up missing the timer because you had too much weight and you ran out of run energy. One of the only ways you can speed up this method at all is to bring some energy pots. However, it doesn't really speed you up by much. So if you're an Iron Man like me, you don't have access to energy pots very easily or staminas, you're not missing out by much. Like I said, it's less than a point per hour just for your run energy, as long as you've got over sort of 50 agility and some graceful gear, which if you've got the graceful gear, you'll have probably 60 agility. So wear full graceful, you don't need anything else. The only thing to cover on this is, because some people have asked this on other guides, should you wear the farmer's gear from the minigame to help boost your experience whilst you're in Tithe Farm? The answer is, I don't think so. It will increase your XP per hour, but to be noted is the farmer's set does not increase your XP gain from when you do the deposit sack for the fruits. It only increases your XP from when you're doing the harvesting, which is actually the minority of the experience you gain here. So it does give you some extra bonus XP, but it's equal to about an additional 1% per hour. It isn't equal to the 2.5% which the farmer's outfit gives you. So don't worry if you don't have a farmer's outfit. In my opinion, graceful is actually the better method, and if you don't have access to staminas, this is 100% the thing to use. Is just use full graceful. Don't bother with a farmer's outfit for the purpose of this minigame. Cool, so how do you get started? What do you do? So, like I said, with this in your inventory, wearing your full graceful, go to the seed table and pick the highest seed that you can access. Like I said, the only difference between these is the XP per hour. The actual points you get doesn't matter for which seed you use. So higher level seeds give you no more points per hour than the lower level seeds. This is hard capped 78 per hour. So I'm going to go with the Logovono just so I've got some more experience. And then you want to enter into the Tithe farm. Key thing is you want to make sure you've got an empty world because you're going to be using these 6 patches which have all the tile markers next to them, as well as this end single plant at the end. I will put all these tile markers in the description. What you're going to want to do is copy those tile markers, and then if you're using the regionId client, go to your floating world map right here, right click it, and then import ground markers. If you've copied already the text that's in the description, as soon as you click import ground markers, it will just display all of these for you. So you don't have to mess about with anything, it will just give you all of these. Right, so the strategy, and how does this work exactly? The very key thing to note, and most of the guides that I've seen do not explain this very well. So, in order to do the 25x4 method, when you plant a seed, you'll see here, you can then left click water, right? If you do this, it's slower just when you're planting, rather than if you left click the seed on there and then click the watering can to it. It waters it instantly. So to give you, again, you saw there, it was like 1 tick between clicking and then clicking the watering can to it. If you click and then just left click to water, you see my character takes another 2-3 game ticks before it waters that plant for the first route around. This is really important because this is how the 25x4 method actually works. If you are just simply planting and then left clicking, you will not be able to do 25 in a single run. You'll only be able to do about 22 or 23, and you'll end up having fruits die if you're using all of the spots that I've labeled out here. You need to make sure that you left click the patch and then left click water it. This is just for when you do the initial planting of the seed. As you go around after the first planting of the seed, you just need to left click water as I'm doing right here. You don't need to actually use the watering can to the plant when you do this, and I'll show you why once this one harvests, is because it doesn't actually save you any ticks. It's the same amount of ticks. It might be actually 1 tick quicker, actually, I might be lying on that, but you don't need to do it. You can just get away after you've done the initial plant through with just left clicking like this, and you'll be able to get all 25. So the only intense part of this method is when you do the first initial planting of your seeds. After that, which you need to do 3 full cycles of the plants, you can just left click and you will make the timer, which I shall demonstrate now. So you fill up your watering cans from this watering barrel, and then after that you're going to want to go as quickly as you can, and like I said, this is quite click intensive whilst you're planting, but then after that it's fairly chill. So you're going to want to left click, plant the seed, and then left click, water it like this. So move to each of the tile markers, left click, plant the seed, and then you're going to want to click the watering can onto it. You don't have to be tick perfect whilst you're doing this, but you do need to be fairly fast. So if you mess up a couple of times, don't worry, you should still make the timer. I typically make this with a good 10-15 seconds, and you see here I'm actually misclicking because I'm talking at the same time, so this should be a good example of how you do this. So you're going to want to plan exactly how I'm planning like this. It will take you probably a couple runs to get this down because it's a little bit annoying to get used to this, but once you got it, it's fairly actually AFK, weirdly. Like I said, the only intense part is this initial section where you're planting all the seeds. Once they're down, it's actually pretty easy. And as you can see here, how I'm moving is how you want to be moving. So as you are on a tile that's next to another marked tile, you can just plant the seed next to it. But when you have to move between tiles, you're going to have to click to it in order to move there. You can't just click the seed onto the location, because it will end up wasting you ticks when you're running, and that may end up over time building up, because this is quite a pressured method. It may mean that you end up having fruits die, and as I was saying at the start, every fruit that you lose means that you're going to get less points at the end, because you only get 100 seeds when you enter, and every seed after the 74th seed is what actually gives you points. So the first 74 give you absolutely nothing. So if you have 24 seeds die, you're not going to be able to get any points from this at all. Oh, sorry, if you get 26 fruits die, you won't get any points at all from doing the full 100 seeds. So you want to make sure that you're getting all 100 seeds planted and all 100 seeds harvested. So in this example, I've had 4 die here. That would mean I could only get a maximum of 22 points if I did all 100 seeds. So leave it up to you if you feel like it's worth continuing the run or if it's worth resetting it. But as you can see here, I've planted down everything now, and now I'm just left-click watering everything. You can probably speed this up by doing the left-clicking of this. I'm actually going to test this right here. It seems to be at the same speed, actually. It doesn't seem to be any quicker. But as I said, if you're just left-clicking once you've planted, this is actually really chill. The very key thing that I need to stress on is when you do the planting of the seeds, you have to left-click from the watering cans. You cannot just left-click water. If you do that, you will miss. The timers that you see on here are from the RuneLite plugin called Tithe Farm. Make sure you've got that enabled, and then you can see the timers that you've got left as you're going around. The way to know if you've got enough time and if you've messed this up or not is that by the time this first plant at the beginning is about to be on its final phase, which is coming up to now, you should be over halfway through this first set of double farm here. So as I am now, I'm towards the end of it. I should have enough time to go and harvest that at the end with no real stresses. So let's see if that's true. Once this goes green on the Tithe Farm marker, that means it's ready to harvest, but you need to make sure you click through all of this. The timer does look tight, but actually, once I got into the swing of doing this, I ended up walking at the end of the run when I was just harvesting, just so I could save some run energy, because like I said, I don't have energy potions available to me, so I was just doing it as chill as possible, and really, there's no stresses once you've got this down. Again, key. Cannot stress enough, if you're going to do the 25x4 method, which is this method right here, you need to left click plant the seeds and then click the watering can to that planted seed. Do not left click water it, else this will not be on time. You see here, I've got a decent amount of time, right? There's no stress, plenty of time. I don't have to, rush through harvesting all these. This will be pretty nicely in time. None of the seeds can die as you're planting, just as a note. Also, another note is if another player comes in, they can't harvest your fruits. Whatever you've planted can only be harvested or watered by you. So once you've got everything planted down, you can't be griefed. So don't worry about anything like that if someone else enters. The only thing that does get annoying sometimes is if you've kind of got the whole world on your own and someone else just plants ahead of you. They will slow you down, but if that happens, I'd recommend just plant 20 rather than a full 25, and just move to another world once you've finished all your seeds. It happens sometimes, but for the most part, everyone that does this is Ironman, so I wouldn't worry too much about people doing that, because for the most part, people are coming here either to get gear or to get the experience per hour, so they're not going to just be crashing you for shits and giggles. There's a quite high requirement on this, so you shouldn't get just random people doing crashing to you. The only ways that you can kind of speed this up, and I just want to make a note of, is one thing I did say was energy potions. The only other thing is if you left click when you're refilling your watering cans, you'll see here it's a bit slower rather than if you just left click fill them yourself. This is one of the only ways that you can really speed up the runs, or if you get the Gricola's can from the rewards. There's no other real way to speed up what you're doing. These timers are fixed. The only way to speed it up is using this Gricola's fertilizer, but if you use this, it's going to be a pain for getting the timer down, and it's actually slower rather than just doing the 25 plants and just ignoring the fertilizer completely. You just don't need to bother with this. Just plant seeds and water them. Don't use the fertilizer. It's actually going to slow you down, believe it or not. Hopefully that's clear. If you've got any questions, post down below. Like I said, this is really just to help out a group Ironman. Again, just to note this, so here I've only got 25 fruits harvested. Once you deposit into the sack, you'll see I get a nice little XP boost, but you can see Oh, you don't see anything actually because it's showing us 17 points from what I'd already had, but you won't get any points for just depositing those 25 fruits. You need to deposit at least 75 to get 1 point, and 100 seeds to get 26 points for planting all 100 of the seeds that you get. The only final thing I'm just going to note here is in what order should you get the rewards from Farmer Agricola. This will depend entirely on what it is that you are here for. If you are here to get XP per hour, the first thing that you should buy is the Agricola's can because it will save you all this inventory space. The Agricola's can holds 100 water charges, so it's just one inventory slot versus the 10 that you use here. It's lighter. It's also going to help you out with just general farming. So if you're doing this for XP, get the Agricola's can first. It will speed you up a little bit. If you're looking at general rewards for farming, I would recommend getting Auto Weed. It's only 50 points. It's quick to get within about 45 minutes or 40 minutes. If you're doing this for generally for Slayer, Herb Sack is obviously what you're going to be here for. The Seed Box has niche uses. It's kind of helpful in Slayer, but you can only store 6 different seed types in this, so it's not the best thing for storage. Mainly the Seed Box is used for master farmers, so that way you don't have to keep banking when your inventory clogs up. So Seed Box is a little bit niche. I wouldn't say prioritizing this unless you're like me and you've got 99 thieving and you're using it to get additional seeds more easily from the master farmer. And then after, I would say these 4 should be your first 4, and then after that you should go for your farming gear or the farmer's set. This really isn't as useful of a set as compared to something like woodcutting, for example, because even like I said, if you're doing farming via Tithe farm, it's not actually going to speed you up by that much. And even if you're using this outside, farming actually in terms of hours invested per XP is actually a really quick skill. It's just a very long time waiting. So I don't think the farmer's outfit is really that worth getting. You can get it, it will help speed up slightly, but this, in my opinion, should be the last thing you get. The others that you have available to you, especially the Auto Weed and the Agricola's can, if you're doing this for farming methods, are a lot more beneficial to you. They save you inventory slots. They're very, very helpful. So hopefully this was quick enough. I wanted to give an example of the 25x4 method and how exactly you do this. So drop me a note if it was helpful. And yeah, peace.